Y'all, we got some new promo. We got some new pictures to analyze and break down a little bit. We got behind the scenes stuff. We got some interviews and stuff. Let's get into it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So Entertainment Weekly came out with this big ass exclusive, right? So on one hand, we had an interview with a lot of the cast members, like a lot of the like main cast. And on the other, we had this Entertainment Weekly spread, all types of articles and stuff and photos, right? So how I'm gonna do this video, we're just gonna go through some of the photos, right? While we talk about what some of the showrunners are saying, some of the actors are saying about what's going on. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Okay. So the first pick, let's just talk about Rhaenyra, the queen. Let's talk about listen to me. I'm team ready. I'm team Rhaenyra. Like you're just gonna have to be mad about it. I'm ready team Rhaenyra. Okay. Allison's gonna have to be pressed. She's gonna have to be pressed. Oh my gosh! And real quick, because I know I'm gonna forget it. The actress who plays Allison said that she was auditioning using Cersei scenes. So that's kind. That's gonna yes yeah. We already knew. I wanted to tell you some cool things about the way that Emma Darcy just thinks. Emma Darcy, of course, is the actor who plays Rhaenyra, and they describe Rhaenyra as pushing at the edges of womanhood. They explain how she's obsessed with masculinity, equating maleness to freedom, which makes sense why Rhaenyra would like just compare or equate masculinity to freedom because of the world and society that she lives in King's Landing, blah 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 blah. Emma Darcy also says she is a person who feels at odds with the way that she is read by the world. Even this label, the realm's delight, which implies a passivity, being an object of people's oogling. In this interview here, Emma Darcy says she is someone who is at odds with her gender as a result of the position she finds herself in. Yeah, I suppose I'm interested in all gender questions. You have someone whose womanhood is at odds with the role that they've been awarded. Now, I found it interesting that found it really cool that Emma Darcy uses they, them pronouns, having this whole conversation and analyzation about gender and stuff. I think their approach to this character is going to be really fun to watch. I love how in this interview also, them and Matt were talking about how Targaryens need family therapy. But yeah, their chemistry already seems like really cool just from the interview. Like it seems really good. So I can't wait to watch this. Now, listen. This here is the Great Council of Harrenhal. I just want to read you what Entertainment Weekly said about this. Now, as King Jaehaerys Targaryen, seen in the center by way of actor Michael Carter, neared the end of his life, there were too many claimants to the Iron Throne. Now, real quick, look at this family tree here. You can see Jaehaerys, and you can see where Viserys is. You can see Rhaenys, all that stuff, right? So there was just too many claimants to the Iron Throne. You already know how Targaryens get down. So the peaceful ruler assembled a council to determine succession. To the right is Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, flanked by her husband, Lord Corlys Velaryon. We already know. She had the most direct blood claim to the throne, but because she was a woman, the council named King Viserys the First Targaryen, the next, which is the king that we're going to be focusing on in this series for real, obviously not Jaehaerys, but he was named the next Lord of the Seven Realms. The article also addressed like the book fans that would definitely notice that King Jaehaerys wasn't actually at the this great council, but Ryan Condal said the book is a subjective account of Targaryen history because of the nature of how it was written, which is one maester drawing from three different sources that did or did not witness the events that they were writing about, sort of like the way the Bible was put together. So he adds, this show will be the objective account. So many interpretations are already out there about what, especially you talking about like the mushroom and all that shit, like it's already out there about what may have happened, but this show is going to show you what actually happened. So I thought that was cool. And this, like I said, this image looks fucking amazing. Like it just looks great. It looks hype. It's what we expected, but damn, I love this gold and this. And the throne is so obnoxious. It's great. Here we have Alicent and Rhaenyra in their youth. In her youth, Rhaenyra, daughter of King Viserys, served as her father's cupbearer and rode the dragon Caraxes. Her best friend was Alicent, who grew up in the Red Keep as the daughter of the Hand of the King. They ain't gonna be best friends for much longer. And if you notice the weirwood tree in the background with the face on it, it's gonna be really cool to see how different the environment is, like the Seven Kingdoms are during this time period versus the time period we saw in Game of Thrones. We see Rhaenyra standing right here, Rhaenyra standing in front of the Iron Throne. And this is Miguel Sapochnik talking about building that. He said it was really fun to build that. He says, I've got to say it's one of the most satisfying processes because there was no limit placed on how we did it. Rather, we designed it and then kind of worked backwards. George R. R. Martin describes the Iron Throne in his novels as a hulking, asymmetric mass of twisted swords with a steep iron staircase leading to a seat from which the ruler could look down on everyone. But Mikhail Sapochnik says, originally in the book, it's actually about 10 to 15 feet high. We were designing for House of the Dragon and realized if we make it that high, we'll never shoot anybody up there to have an exchange. You'll need a crane every single time. So what they did was just had, warped melting swords oozing down from the staircase on both sides of the chair with a pathway cleared for the actors. Now, Ryan Condal basically says like we have to show out how we have to show how ostentatious the Targaryen family was. Condal describes the era of House of the Dragon set 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones as a time of decadence at the height of Targaryen rule in Westeros. So of course he said, when you see our throne, it immediately communicates this is a time of great influence and wealth for the people that built this thing. The throne was one of the most challenging things to build because it had to be different, but it had to be the same, which I can only imagine that it's like, okay, yes, we want you all to think of when you see the Iron Throne, we want y'all to know it's the Iron Throne, but at the same time, we don't want it to be the same exact throne from last season. So I think it was smart and looks good. And it's just like the obnoxiousness of the wealth and obnoxiousness of the Targaryen family is definitely represented in this throne, I think. So we have Sir Otto and Alicent here now. We already know Sir Otto's the Hand of the King. He's not really feeling Daemon at all. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. Of course, he ain't feeling Rhaenyra, obviously, right? So the actor who plays him said he's an astute, talking about a character, of course, he's an astute, high-functioning political creature. He knows the machinations of this sort, or of this court better than anyone. He's kind of his own CCTV system in terms of knowledge of what's going on at any place, with whom, at any time. He's ruthless, but he struggles with some of the decisions he is forced to make as Hand of the King. So it's just obvious. I feel like this is Littlefinger and Varys wrapped into one kind of character. It's gonna be delicious. We got Prince Daemon here in all his gear, looking good. It looks good. You see the dragons on his helmet, all of it's just so good. It's just so good. We got Prince Daemon over here holding a dragon egg. Now I think that this is on Dragonstone somewhere, because Dragonstone had a lot of the hatcheries when it comes to the dragons. They had a whole lot of dragon eggs and stuff. So I think that this could really be where he is at, and he could be at Dragonstone. So Entertainment Weekly said, to understand the heart of Daemon, you need only to look at his dragon, Caraxes, a gargantuan winged red steed. Matt Smith thinks of the beast as grumpy. He said grumpy and tough, but of course, that's what Daemon really loves about him. Matt Smith said he's like a huge rabid dog in many ways who only calms and soothes around Daemon. He's almost an untrainable dragon in many respects. I cannot wait to see this. In this interview here, Matt Smith says Daemon and Caraxes are sort of one entity, really. They're one spirit. They're sort of avatars of one another. They're both grumpy and moody. So I do think there is kind of a weird symbiotic molecular thing that goes on. So I just like I said, I can't wait, first of all, to see Daemon on Caraxes doing what Daemon do. You know what I mean? Just doing what Daemon do on Caraxes. I can't wait to see their bond, their relationship. I can't wait to see, I don't know, like the dragons are going to be so exciting. Like, I don't care if they're doing joy rides. I don't care if they're, you know, traveling. I don't care if they're, if the Targaryens are burning people up, burning, you know, villages up. I just want to burning towns up. I just want to see them dragons so bad, y'all. I want to see them dragons. And see, none of the pictures that we got were of dragons or anybody on a dragon. And maybe that's for the best, because maybe surprise me. But at the same time, I just, you know what? I want one. Just give me one good picture of somebody on their dragon. And I'll be okay until the show starts, right? In this picture, we can see Sir Criston Cole. Now, I will be very interested to see what happened, like what really happened between Sir Criston Cole and Rhaenyra. Like, you know, we already had Mushroom talking about just somebody from the books, if y'all don't read the books, but like a very I don't know, should I say inconsistent? Yeah, he's Mushroom kind of adds kind of like salacious stuff to he mixes rumors sometimes with shit. So, you know, from the books, we have one account where it's like Daemon had apparently given like sex lessons to Rhaenyra so that she could like please Sir Criston Cole. But then when Rhaenyra approached Sir Criston Cole with all that shit, he was freaked out, he was grossed out, he was horrified and rejected her. So that's one account, but it's just, like I said, it came from the source, because of the source it came from, we don't really know what he is. So I'm excited to see what's going on there. Corlys, Velaryon, and Rhaenys, I feel like I'm gonna love them, especially because of I don't know, I heard the way the actress and the actor, like both of them, speak in interviews and the way they talk about their characters. I'm just really excited to see their interpretations of this shit. So they also talked about this big pink elephant or black elephant in the room, I guess. You know, Entertainment Weekly had this whole section about changes to House Velaryon. And Ryan Condal said this: the world is very different now than it was 10 years ago when Game of Thrones all started. It's different than 20 years ago when Peter Jackson made Lord of the Rings. These types of stories need to be more inclusive than they traditionally have been. It was very important for Miguel and I to create a show that was not another bunch of white people on the screen, just to put it very bluntly. And so this is what I think about the whole entire thing. Y'all already know that I think that the racists that are pressed that they're black people in a fantasy show need to just shut the hell up. It's so corny. Y'all have magic, fire-breathing lizards that fly. Like, we can have black people in the show. Y'all just gonna have to be pressed about it. Y'all gonna have to be mad about it. That's what I think. And they look really cool already, you know. But on the other hand, I've always said this too. As a black person, I am very scared when people who are only used to handling all white characters start handling black characters. So it's just like I get, because like I said, I'm black, so I want the characters to be given their just due, right? I don't want it to just be, I'm just scared of the tokenism. I'm scared of all that shit. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching this, just from those kinds of angles. But they kind of address this. So Entertainment Weekly said both Condal and Sapochnik felt very strongly about featuring a person of color in a powerful position of nobility in the context of the story. In House of the Dragon, that would be Lord Corlys. Condal explains that they didn't want to do it in a way that felt like it was an afterthought or worse, tokenism. So I'm happy that they like addressed that shit. They also wanted to avoid the recurring image of people of color showing up in fantasy sagas as pirates, slaves, and mercenaries. Condal says it's not any of that at all. I've seen people that look like myself on the screen in these types of high fantasy stories since I was born, because I'm a white guy. What's it like for everybody else? We went back and just looked at the story and said, how do we do this in a way that can feel like it's done integrally with the story? According to Condal, George R.R. Martin, which I thought this part was really fucking cool, George R.R. Martin had once toyed with the idea of making the Velaryons a house of black nobles in his books. Kondo said, long, long ago, when he was conceiving this world, George R. R. Martin himself had considered the idea of making Velaryons a race of black people with silver hair that essentially came from the other side of the ocean and conquered Westeros. He says, that's a fascinating idea, and that always really stuck with me because it's such a stark image. I thought, well, why couldn't we do a version of that now? So yeah, I'm really happy to hear all the things that they're saying. I'm gonna go into the show with an open mind, of course, but like I said, there's a lot of times I get real nervous. If you do white characters, just let them be white. It's all right, because I think for me as a black person watching the TV show, I'm just like, it's so much worse when you have that one black character that's saying like, hey y'all, boo y'all, and I like hip hop music. It's just, you know what I mean? They don't have no sense of personality. They're not a full character. They're just the black guy on the cast, right? So if you can't do black characters, leave their ass out. But as far as the racists who are pressed that a black character is going to be in the show, you're going to have to kiss my ass. Like, you're going to have everything that Ryan said when he's talking about, like, do we see so many white guys in fantasy sagas? Like, how is it for people who aren't white? Yes, like, please, that's exactly the type of conversation y'all need to be having. So yeah, okay, I'll talk about Rhaenys since we're already bringing up Corlys and House Velaryon and all that shit. We'll talk about Rhaenys. I remember I said I would talk a little bit more about that Harrenhal Council. And so this is coming from Entertainment Weekly, of course. A quick history recap. There was once a time around when Rhaenyra was born where there were too many Targaryen claimants to the throne. It was a complicated matter. The first picks had died, and all the inbreeding, Targaryens so nasty. They so nasty. And all the inbreeding made the next choice complex. Yes, Targaryens are messy, it is known. The peacekeeping king at the time, Jaehaerys I, assembled what became known as the Great Council of Harrenhal, which will be dramatized in House of the Dragon. Lords and maesters from all over the realm assembled to determine succession. Rhaenys, the wife of the great nautical explorer Lord Corlys Velaryon, head of House Velaryon, had ruled that the kingdom could not pass to a woman nor through a woman to her male descendants. So Viserys was named King of Westeros instead. Now, the actress who plays Rhaenys, Yvette, said this: effectively, it's about the disillusionment of the patriarchy of this system that has been going for hundreds and hundreds of years. Rhaenys' relationship with Rhaenyra is very complicated. There's an element of mentorship. There's also an element of other things that go along with that, potentially friendship or sympathy. At the same time, there's all kinds of other much darker things, especially at the beginning. I think Rhaenys feels that Rhaenyra needs some taking down a peg or two. And I wonder if this is because does that mean that Rhaenys gonna feel a little bit pressed? Obviously you feel pressed if you were passed over just because you're a woman. You ain't get the throne just because you're a woman. But I wonder if that will show its face as jealousy in the way that she treats Rhaenyra, And this last picture here with Rhaenyra and Alicent, it looks like it's that eye incident. Okay, so in 120 AC, Alicent's second son got involved in an incident where Rhaenyra's son, Lucerys, I think, took out Aemon's right eye. Alicent was fucking pissed about that shit, obviously, and she demanded that Lucerys get his eye snatched out too. So it was after this incident that Viserys was just like, look, girls, we're gonna have to split you hoes up. So he put Rhaenyra on. He said, Rhaenyra, y'all can go to fucking Dragonstone, and Alicent and the rest of them can stay in King's Landing. So that's the thing that really split their ass up for real. Now, of course, it makes sense that Rhaenyra would be a Dragonstone because that is literally where the heir to the throne, like the next heir, would stay, would live. But it's obviously going to be more complicated than that shit. But yeah, I didn't expect to be talking this much about this shit, but I'm excited. I am fucking excited. I cannot wait. I think I want one more trailer Like, I want one more trailer, and I want one more trailer with dragons, and somebody breathe fire. It don't have to be burning anybody up or anything like that, but you could just breathe it out the dragon's mouth while we flying somewhere. That's all I want to see, okay? On that note, thank y'all so much for checking me out, and I will hit y'all up later.